So here's the second part to this my how to use MyFitnessPal tutorial. So what we're going to go over now is how to actually input foods and make sure you're consuming the right amount of nutrients. So first off, let's go over how much protein you should eat every day, because that's the most important thing, I think. What you want to do to figure out how much protein you should eat is first you take your body weight. So let's say we're dealing with a 150-pound woman again. So 150, and you multiply that by 0.7, so times 0.7. You get 105 grams. So this is the low end of grams of protein that this lady should try to get per day. And in a second, I'm going to show you how to check how much protein you're getting per day. So don't worry about that yet. Now, for the higher end of protein that you could get, or the recommendation for the higher amounts, you're going to take your body weight, 150 times 0.8, and you get 120. Now, if you do end up getting over 120 grams of protein per day, that's fine too. There really isn't any found any upper limit of protein per day. It's oftentimes the more the better, unless you do, like, if this 150-pound lady was eating like 250 grams of protein per day, one, that would be really difficult for her to do, and two, that would be kind of insane. Probably get digestive issues if she tried to eat that much protein per day. But the more protein often helps, just because it makes your food, it slows down your digestion, so you stay fuller longer, which is something that's very underrated in when it comes to dieting and losing fat. So that's going to help you a lot, and just that feeling of satiety. So that's the upper range of what she'd want to hit. So for sure, she wants no less than 105, because you take 150 times 0.7, 105. So either take your body weight times 0.7 for the lower end, and take your body weight times 0.8 for the higher end. And again, it's okay to get more than the high end of the protein that I recommend. Now back to this. This is my day. I could usually eat around 3,000 calories, just under 3,000 calories. If I was more active, I could eat a little more, but for my height and everything right now, this is what I'm taking for my activity level. So if you want to see how much protein, fats, and carbs are in all the foods you ate, you simply go to the bottom of your diary and go under nutrition. And according to this, I need about 181 grams of protein per day. This isn't always correct, and I'll show you why. You go here, you go to goals, and the reality is you could kind of change it. So whatever you did get from the calculation, you want to change it to something close to that. Now, since we're working with percentages of how much total calories you have per day, it's difficult to get that exact number that you calculate, or even in the range. But let's say, let's see, for me, we're 195 pounds. So 195 times 0.7 equals, so minimum I need is 136 grams, and 195 times 0.8 equals, so the maximum is around 156 grams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the calculation. I'm going to change the percentage. So change it to 20. Yeah, and I get about 145 grams, which is in between there. I could lower that as well. And again, it's okay if during the day I get a little more than 145. That's fine. But this is just going to give me an idea, a ballpark. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go back to the diary. I'm going to add some foods just to show you how everything works. So I'm going to add a little bit of chicken there. Just go to lunch right now. Some whole bread. And let me add some rice. I'll put a protein bar. And let me add some rice. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to go back to my nutrition thing. And oftentimes it's going to be set at calories. So just click nutrients on the side. And see, now that I filled stuff in, it shows how much of that I've consumed in the day so far. So with all the foods that I put in, I consumed around 77 grams of protein. So I'm about halfway to my goal. And then this amount of carbohydrates and fat. Now, I don't want you guys to worry about fat so much, or carbs. You could pay attention to sugar, again, because just for health reasons, you don't want to consume too much sugar. Just main things I want you guys to focus on is getting the right amount of protein per day and making sure that your calories are where they need to be. Those two things. Don't worry about how much carbs you're consuming. Don't worry about how much fat you're consuming. Don't worry about those numbers for the day. Biggest things, protein and overall calories. That's literally, I'll post an article about it later. They literally said that how much carbs and fat you're eating aren't that important. The most important things are how much carb, when it comes to fat loss, the most important things are how much protein and your overall calories you're eating. So that's what's going to kind of help change your body. Carbs and fat, that's just for preference. So if you're someone that likes to eat a little bit more carbs, you can do that. Or if you like to eat a little more fat, you can do that. That's just a side thing. Like, I know everyone's going to say, oh my gosh, you're saying you could eat how much carbs do we want? No, not necessarily. Here's the thing. I'll go back and say it again. If you're eating a lot of carbs are the kind of food that will just, your body processes really quickly and you're just going to be hungry again and want more. So that's not good for fat loss, because the more hungry, if you're getting hungry a ton while you're trying to lose fat, it's going to be a problem. You're going to feel really uncomfortable and it's going to make it much harder than it should be. So that's why I do say to eat, more protein as well. Fat is okay too. Same thing. But the issue with fat is that every gram of fat is 9 calories compared to carbs or protein, which are only 4 calories. So as you can see here, as far as all these numbers, fat is the lowest for me, just because, again, the amount of the grams of fat are higher calorie wise. Like, let's say I multiply the grams of total fat by 9, I would get a pretty high number, because that's how much calories are in 1 gram of fat. So yeah, that's the only thing you got to look out for fat for. And again, the recommendation for fat is the lowest out of all the 3 nutrients. Let's see what else everyone might want to know about. So when you're putting food in, it's a good idea, especially like carbohydrates, it's a good idea to use cups. So this is how I do it. And obviously when you're actually scooping up the food, use cups. So this is for stuff like quinoa. I'd even say for stuff like potatoes. It's a good idea. Mashed potatoes, rice, quinoa, wild rice, oatmeal. One thing to pay attention to is, notice it says cooked white rice. If it said dry white rice, 1 cup of dried white rice is way more than 500 calories. It's a lot. So make sure you make that distinction when you're putting the food in, or it's going to be a totally different number and you're going to get really confused, or you're going to end up consuming too much or consuming too little. So make sure you pay attention to whatever food you're choosing. Make sure you choose the right kind. It's cooked or is it raw or dry with certain carbohydrates. Another thing, for things like meat, see here, I just have 1 leg quarter. So that's like a chicken leg. The reality is, just kind of find one you think is this is just kind of a general one. And what I've done is I just keep it consistent. I use that same one all the time. If you're worried about a nutrient being wrong, you're selecting the wrong one, just Google it. Google calories for whatever the food is, and just as long as you get close. Most chicken leg quarters are around the same size, unless you're eating like a mutant chicken or something like that. So, but most are around the same size, so it's going to be fairly consistent. Just find one that you like. Find one, not one that you like, but one you think is accurate, and just stay with it consistently. Because that's literally the most important thing about this, being consistent. Choose one of those. For things like bread, like for this, like I was able to just scan the barcode and I was able to get the right food. So when you want to select something, you just scan the barcode and the food will automatically scan in. Just be careful with that. Whenever you do that, make sure you're choosing the right portion size, and you'll be fine. But just make sure you're choosing the right portion size for the food. That's going to make it more accurate. So what I will do is I'll give you an example right now. I'm going to grab a container and I will show you right now. Mm-hmm. All right. So let me get some chicken or beef broth. Should have this prepared. All right, now here we go. So I'm going to use the barcode scanner right now. I'm going to show you how easy it is. See that? And there you go. Look at that beef broth. And now you can see why I recommend it. It's only 10 calories per 2/3 of a cup, so it's fantastic. Great replacement for oil and things like that. And first of all, for some stuff. And then if I'm using that actual serving size, it allows you to choose other serving sizes. And then that's it. I highly recommend you buy a cup set, a measuring cup set. It's going to make things so much easier. If you want to add a quarter of a cup of like rice to your meal or something, just grab the quarter cup, scoop it in, and put it on your plate. It'll be that easy. It's also a good idea to buy a teaspoon teaspoon set, or a spoon measuring set, just for the same reason. It makes things so much easier. And yeah, that's kind of the straightforward of it. If you have any questions with regards to this, let me know. If I didn't cover something that you want covered, please comment below. Let me know, or send me a message if you want. And that's it. I don't think I have anything else to check here. Yes, that is it. Oh, one last thing. So for serving sizes of things like meat, which is what a lot of people can get confused about. So I'm going to use the barcode scanner again to kind of show my hand. No, I'll just use the camera to do that. One sec. All right. So for my hand, don't mind the calluses. The size of my palm, that is going to be about 6 ounces. And this is going to be for everybody. So when you're eating food, the size of your palm is 6 ounces. And I know people have different size hands, but again, this is just all estimating. Okay, it doesn't have to be an exact number, but it's going to allow you to actually put something in the app when you don't have to. Like, the other option is you have to weigh it. So I know no one wants to weigh food, so it's going to allow you to put. This is going to give you an option to put in for the app. So that's about 6 ounces in my palm of my hand. Now, if the food is closer to about the size of my 4 fingers, that's about 4.5 ounces. So if the food measures to be about the size of my 4 fingers, I would put in 4.5 ounces. Okay, so that's how I would do that. Now let's go back to this. I'm trying to think what else I need to cover here. So let's say you go out for sushi or something like that. Again, so this app has a ton of food, so maybe they'll actually have the sushi restaurant you went to, if it's a chain. Otherwise, just find a close example and put it in. That's all you really need to do. If you're going to drink anything like wine or anything like that, again, estimate. It's going to require estimation. Whenever stuff like that, it's good to overestimate, just because we tend to, like the article I put before, we tend to overdo it, and while we think we're actually underdoing it. So, yep. All right, I think that covered everything. That's it. Again, if you have a question, let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.